Shalom, Sister Kate here. So, you guys have seen this goat before. He's a very ordinary looking goat. He's just a billy goat. You've seen him in videos before. But what you don't know about this goat is he's actually kind of a miracle. If you remember, about 6 months ago, Easter time, that week, this goat and his mother were attacked by 3 dogs. And he had a hole in his leg about the size of this tomato. And if you think about that, like right there, that's a big hole. And it actually was on his back leg. And the hole was on the outside of his leg, and then on the inside of the leg, he had a great big wound. It was about the size of my hand, and it was real jagged. And he was not the more wounded goat, his mother was, so I didn't treat him right away. So basically what happened was, he also got attacked on his ear, and you can kind of see that here. He's still got a hole in his ear, and his ear is only half attached. Luckily, he didn't get any blood vessel, but if you look underneath here, you see there's like 3 or 4 that run the length of the ear. And we did have another goat that did get in a dog attack, and her ear looked just like that, but the blood vessel was involved. And she was bleeding, and so I used a needle and thread and sewed her ear back on with no anesthetic, which was traumatic for both of us. And later that part of her ear died and fell off, so she had half an ear, kind of like he has here. I didn't know about what to do with that blood vessel, and she was not standing still for me to sew it. Now I know you tie a thread around it, it's called a ligature, and you tighten it so it heals up. But anyway, with this particular guy, we're not sure if that wound was actually the dog attacks or if that was friendly fire, because there were a lot of rounds going down range and the dogs were near the goats. And with a hole like that on one side of the leg and a big old wound on the other, it's possible it could have been he got a little friendly fire incident going on. So how does this apply to you in like the post-Tiawaki world? How would you deal with a human with a wound like that? And what we ended up doing with him was, immediately, I treated him with a thing called Blue Coat. This is something I highly recommend everybody get. I have several containers of it. It is for horses or dogs. It treats fungus infections, surface wounds, cuts, chafes, abrasions, lesions, eczema, sores, hoof rot, all sorts of stuff. It's an antiseptic, protective wound dressing, germicidal, and a fungicidal. So I pretty much, whatever animal gets injured, I just spray that on no matter what. And it tends to take care of even very large wounds. Now, the kind of wound he had that was open in the back is not perfect for that, but we had no other way of treating him. And then I also used these 2 on them. The blue one is supposed to be the kind of thing that you can actually spray in your own eye and it doesn't injure you, and the other one, the poultry wound spray, is all essential oils. And so every day I would come down and I would treat him, and I would spray that on his wounds, and I would spray it on his mother wounds. And for whatever reason, her wounds, the flies attacked, maybe because she had a lot more dead flesh. His wounds, they didn't. And his wounds looked like a steak. They looked like raw meat. So did hers. But the inside of his back leg looked like raw meat. And also where the hole was on the front, it was hollow down in there. So I would pour like that wound stuff in there to try to disinfect. So how did he heal up? The other goat did not make it. She succumbed to the too many maggots on her and horrible neck wounds. His back leg, he almost could not put any weight on. He just kind of held it up, but he was eating and drinking even from the day of the attack, so we had a lot going on there. What he ended up doing over the last 6 months was he would debride that wound no matter what I did to it. If I put that Blue Coat and stuff on it, he would still lick it completely off and until blood showed. So every day that I went down to check on him, his wound would look like a steak, like I said, a big bloody mess. I would spray it and spray it and spray it, and then he would end up licking or chewing all of that off. And so that is sort of a medical technique, debriding a wound. And there's also the Dakin-Carroll treatment, where instead of people just assuming a wound that's got an infection in it, and you just amputate the piece off, you started to irrigate wounds and try to kill the infection and get down to the raw muscle without infection involved and heal it up. And it's also the same with a great big wound. So dogs lick their wounds, and that was a way that people in like World War II and especially in the Pacific, where it was always hot and humid, guys would let dogs lick their wounds. So he may have something in his saliva. I don't know if he does or not. He would also lay down in mud. He would lick it, and then he would lay down with that leg piece in the dirt, and then he would get back up and lick it. So if you want to apply this information to your own experience, if something happens and you have someone who has a big open gaping wound, you're just going to do the best you can. If you have not studied medicine in depth, you're going to do the very same kind of things. You're going to try to keep a wound clean. You're going to try to control bleeding, because people can bleed out. And you're going to change dressings and debride it. And if there is rotten skin, you can scrape it. But you're going to do your very best, because that's all anyone can do. And I have found that if you study Civil War medicine, there's a lot of applications for the type of thing that's probably going to be facing us if society as we know it fails. So he has healed up pretty good. Like, I don't know if you can see it. Come here, man. Like, he can move around and stuff. He's not, what do you call it, debilitated. Like, he climbed up here and he got all around these logs and everything. He's standing straight. He still have movement on his leg. If you have to do some sort of battle medicine on a human being and you do your best, if they heal up, that's a success. It may not look good, it may not be perfect, they may not be able to use that limb, or they may have some kind of big scarring, but if they're alive, you've done okay. And we've seen people who've broken arms, who have had it set and not American hospital standard. The one guy's forearm was kind of a mess, but he could use it. And that's all you're going to hope to do if you're given a situation like that. I am very interested in hearing feedback on this. If you've had any experience with animals, if you've done anything like set a broken bone or done a great big wound, I am interested in your feedback. I'd love to hear stories of what you've done and what you think you might do. I have found that a lot of what I've learned has come from just tending to my animals, and that's not very sophisticated, but if I can save someone's life, then it'll be worth it. All right, shalom, bless you.